Hello.
Hello.
Hi there. We are streaming live to you. We're supposed to be streaming from the Tardis, but we went to set up live streaming from the Tardis this morning in Canberra in the main street, and we discovered that it's super noisy there. And because there was traffic lights, and so we recorded a little intro for you so you could see the TARDIS, and it's not working. So perhaps it's Mercury retrograde, not that I know of, but let's blame it because we've got our little TARDIS intro there, but it's not working. So hence you have us live. So thanks for joining us today. Hey, Richard, good to have you here.
Hi, Richard.
So here I'm Dr. Toni, Dr. Toni Reilly, and this is Tanya Harper. She, next time you see her in a week or two, will be Dr. Tanya Harper.
Yes.
So that's exciting. But this show is about time travel. We're going to talk about what that means as far as current lives, past lives, and in between, and maybe other forms of time travel as well. And you can share your stories with us. You can ask your questions and put those in the comments. Also, you can tell us where you're from if you like. So we're just kind of getting started here. We are going to be giving you a little bit of background about the TARDIS, or my obsession with it, really, just before we get on with it. So when I was in Canberra last time, I was walking along, having a morning walk, and I went on a bit of a random track. I know nothing's random, but anyway, I went where I wouldn't normally go. I came across this TARDIS, this real life TARDIS, and I just couldn't believe my eyes. So I personally watched Doctor Who when I was a kid. Did you watch
watched it too. Yeah.
It was limited television when I was a little kid because we always lived in the middle of nowhere, and Doctor Who was on the ABC.
Yes.
And I loved it. So there was that. But last year in a Facebook group of mine, I had created a header in it that featured the TARDIS. So I was so excited to see it that day. So hence why we wanted to stream a podcast from there because we happen to be here this week because we're on a big road trip for work. But anyway, let's talk about time travel. Let us know where you're from in the comments, and remember to post your questions because we'll come back to them later. Also, maybe if you've had any experiences as we're working through.
And maybe what our viewers think about time travel? Like, what is it to them?
What is it to you? Okay, post that. We'd love to
Yep.
hear, and we'll come back to that shortly. For now, I'm just going to go on and explain what we believe time travel is from our perspective in working in these realms. So, time travel, in a nutshell, is remembering anything that's already happened, whether it's been facilitated or spontaneously recalled. For example, it's when you remember in detail, as though you were there or are there. You can remember how it felt, the colours, the feelings, and exactly what happened from various times. So this is time travel if you remember childhood memories. Anything that happened before today, we're going back in time then.
Yep.
Back in linear time. We'll talk about that in a moment. And our big thing is past lives. So when you remember memories from your past lives, you're time traveling. When you visit in between lives, which is where your soul planned this life, you're also time traveling. And one thing that we know when our clients go into past lives, even when they go into current life actually, or certainly between lives, it's timeless. So they always come back and say, wow, that felt like 5 minutes, and yet they've been in there for an hour.
Yeah.
So it certainly proves to be timeless, or time as in linear time is for the human experience, or that's what I say it is. History, to give some context to linear time, history since the beginning of time on planet Earth as we know it is linear. So from decade to decade, or from century to century, millennia to millennia, year to year, day to day, hour to hour, minute to minute, or even second to second. That is all linear time. It does not exist when we're time traveling. It's timeless. I don't know how else to explain it, but when you're in those spaces, you feel timeless.
Hi, Tracy.
So time travel is remembering the past, but it can also be glimpsing the future on Earth. And there are many stories of people actually appearing from a different era and coming into this time frame. I think that's really exciting. I assume it's real and true, but there's stories about that. Not that I have any to cite.
No.
But I know also there's many films and shows.
TV shows out there. Outlander.
Yes,
just to name
Outlander.
one.
Outlander's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I loved Outlander because they started it in Scotland.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love Scotland.
Yeah, me too. So Outlander was a good one. I think a lot of people saw it. Of course, they cast that gorgeous actor as well to keep us all involved in the time travel of that. But I loved in that they feature. It was really exciting for the way that we work in past lives, where they featured how she was married.
Yes.
In whatever, the 60s, was it?
60s, I think it was, yeah.
She's married and then goes back in time and she sees her husband, who they were so close in this current life.
Yes, because he was the soldier.
He was.
Yes.
And he wasn't pleasant.
No.
So it's a really good depiction of what we do see in the past lives, where people who we maybe adore now, we didn't always have pleasant lives with them.
No.
And yes, also interesting. I thought Outlander did really well with kind of highlighting some of the things that really we do see. So maybe let's talk a little bit now about why we would choose to time travel. And because our passion is time traveling for therapy, or the therapeutic value in it, let's talk about the psychology of time travel and how it works as therapy. So we'll discuss a little bit about the symptoms that it can help with, self-awareness and personal development that results from time traveling to between lives or past lives, or even when we go back into our current life, and the intriguing verification that people receive, even if they do this just for curiosity. So the therapeutic benefits of time travel through recalling your past lives, what we see often borders on miraculous, and we can see a lot of success with many symptoms, but to name a few: anxiety, grief, self-doubt, confidence, and self-worth. These things, I think those things are the basis of everybody within life at some point, where they will be faced with those few things.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
So when we time travel, a lot of these areas are addressed, even when you don't realize that you're affected by them. It shows it, maybe revealing your behavior or how you react to certain things or certain people. But simply put, time travel is talking to your soul. That's the way I see it.
Getting to know yourself.
To get to know yourself, for sure. So recall is our modality of time travel. And so we're going to tell you a little bit about it and how it works, how time travel is helpful. So recall is non-invasive, it's gentle, and it's a healing technique which accesses the subconscious through a very beautiful, relaxed, meditative state. And this emphasizes the connection with your soul. And really, the other way to put it is you're time traveling. We call recall the psychology of now, and we facilitate time travel to these particular places in recall therapy. So sometimes we see recalling into the current life. People go where there's something that they need to know to improve this life now.
Yes.
And I feel like time travel in the form of, let's say, a near-death experience, which would be a spontaneous form of time travel, even when people have those near-death experiences, it's very personal to them, and it's to make this life better.
They do come out with they come out with something profound, don't they? They
do.
always have a story to come back
They
with.
do.
So
They do. And there's likenesses in that space. When we facilitate what would be a similar experience and outcome to a near-death experience, we call it in between lives, sometimes even beyond, where we call home. But nonetheless, it's all time travel. So a visit to the between life phase, where we are preparing for any incarnation, but usually people are curious about this one because we're living it now. This is where we're maybe having
the troubles.
Yeah.
Our
So
problems.
to find out why we planned this life, why did we have these parents, particularly if there's angst with them, or why there's been traumatic experiences, this, when people go to this space, or they time travel to that in-between space, it's really phenomenal. I feel like it's the most powerful space.
It is. You get to see, like why, if you have a problem with a parent, it could have been a husband in another life, and there was trauma happened there, or whatever that is, and it's amazing when you start to recognize and put the pieces together.
Yeah. Maybe even why you're overprotective of your children. Well, I mean, we're both mothers, but think of it as any parent. If you, maybe often with people, it might be one of their three kids or something, but there's a different bond with them, and then you go into your past life and go, oh, maybe they lost that person before, one way or another, and it has an effect now, and it answers why they might be over the top with them now, or so fearful now of something that is highly unlikely to happen. Yeah. So what else do we do in recall therapy? It's possible to glimpse the future. And people, certainly, if it's relevant to this life, they get to glimpse their future. And that would be, I'm thinking of a case where someone would get to see the future. And I feel like it seems to be really important when people are in grief is one thing, but in grief for perhaps the loss of a relationship, and they just can't accept perhaps that the relationship has ended. And I think that a lot of people, they get stuck in their grief and they are desperately wanting to reunite with that person. When, well, two things can happen if they go in between lives or they glimpse into the future. They will see if that happens, or if it is not happening, which is more likely the case, that the reunion's not happening. Something happens in that space when they get that vision, and they then know, they know implicitly from a soul level that that is not what's happening. And potentially they see something else incredible that is coming up for them. And it helps them get through the grief of, or maybe feeling stuck in that, wishing that it would come back, wishing that person would come back. Yeah. So one way or another, this time travel or these transcendent experiences will help to understand what's going on now and the potential of what's going to happen. The other thing that is also time travel is when people can speak to a passed over loved one or someone of that they know in the afterlife. It is also time travel. So all of the things that we can do in recall. I think during recall, your soul determines what you'll discover. It reveals exactly what you need to become aware of, and also it invokes the precise prescription required to answer your questions or relieve your symptoms. So whether that means there's an energy adjustment or just some key knowledge that's revealed to you that's going to help you now. So that's all how we use time travel as therapy. That's kind of an overview of that. But what we do see is that time travel changes people. It does. It changes them because it highlights who they have been. It highlights what they've experienced in the past lives, and it empowers them.
It lessens it somehow. It takes the power or the hold that it has over you. It seems to just lessen the feeling.
Yeah. Lessen that grip of whatever it might be, inadequacy or regret. It's just like a weight lifts off your shoulders.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So it gives you that knowledge and or skills to comprehend the aspects of who you are today. Maybe why you behave in the way that you do, why you attract certain patterns in and continue them. So time travel is pretty magical. But what we do know is many people experience it spontaneously. So as we mentioned before, near-death experiences is one. What's another spontaneous way that people would be time traveling? Dreams.
Yes.
Dreams. Sometimes dreams are metaphorical, which is messages from your subconscious or from your soul. But when we have like a time traveling dream where we recall a past life, they feel very different. And they're very, I suppose, grounded in reality. And usually a past life dream, you will know that it's a past life as opposed to a metaphorical dream. Yeah. Other ways of spontaneous time travel. I think even when people are having, oh my goodness, the name's escaping me, but when they can leave the body and look around. Astral traveling.
Yes.
All of these things where you leave your body, transcendent experiences are all a form of time travel. Yeah. So let us know in the comments if you have any questions, if you have any experiences of your own that you'd like to share. And we will have a little look at what's coming up. Tracy's commented here. Hey, Tracy, let's put your comment up here. Tracy says, I imagine it opens your eyes to a whole new world, looking through different eyes almost. That is
looking at the
beautiful.
world in a different way. Yeah.
I think that it's almost impossible to describe because it is as though you're suddenly wise, really wise, and you're looking from a completely different perspective.
Yeah.
And so that you see things that we would perceive in the human experience as very traumatic and, oh my God, unbelievable. How can people work through these things? But when you see the purpose of it and in these time traveling or transcendent experience, they make sense. They have, and the deeper meaning seems to be more obvious. Yes. Yes, we're looking at the world in a new way and we look at ourselves in a new way. And I think that's one of the things that we discover in all of this therapeutic work or any of these transcendent experiences is they invoke self-awareness.
They do. Yep.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. Get to see your own patterns and the way they unfold and, change them up and
totally changes it. And it makes that one individual see the world in a new way. And that is how the world actually changes, one person at a time. So isn't that, it's a little transgression, I realise, but that is how actually things are going to change one person at a time. And I really feel like that is why we are seeing more time travel and why it's becoming more prevalent at this time in the evolution of humanity. People are meant to be more privy to why they're here and having more of these really insightful, wisdom oriented new perspectives on life and on themselves. So I find that really intriguing. And we get to see a lot of it happen before our eyes. It's fairly rewarding. Yes. Golly. So we have got a couple of other things to talk to you about here. Actually, the first thing is, if anyone would like to work with us, I know we've got a few people on here live with us, but many people watch the replay. Do let us know if you watch the replay when the replay happens. But if anyone wants to work with us, you are able to book a consultation there. We just put a link in the comments, but it's at the website, TonyReillyInstitute.com. Other than that, one other thing I wanted to remind you of is if you have a hankering to learn past life regression and in between lives facilitation, we have a huge special on with our online training at the moment. It includes a session, a past life regression session, and a mentoring session. And it is only $9.97 at the moment. You come out with your certificate and you can be practicing as a recall therapist. There's much more information. We're going to paste a link here if anyone is interested in this. And here we go. You'll be able to see that now, or whether you're watching the replay. Tracy, I'm coming back to your comment now. I imagine it would be reassuring to figure out why you might feel a certain way about things that you may not understand.
Yes,
that's exactly
what it is.
That's exactly what it does. And I know, to me, that sounds so simple now, but that was not simple for me as a person to understand.
I don't think it's simple for anybody though. It's like you don't know what you don't know, do you, until you start to see patterns and then go through your past life recall and you start to see things and things just start to change.
They definitely do. Yeah. I think also once we start looking in those spaces, I really feel like you're changed forever after that. There's no going back.
You can't go back, can you? It's like once you know, you know.
And I do mean that positively. But it often is a catalyst for doing some really deep soul searching. Or some other catalyst sets us off and sends us soul searching and we find past lives because of that. But one way or another, I think that once we start exploring these realms, it's because we are searching for deeper meaning in our life. This is for you, Tracy.
Oh,
yay. Oh, it's all fireworks. Fantastic.
Looks great.
That's cool. Oh, gosh. If you have any questions or comments, please go ahead and post them. Even if you do that in the replay, we will come back and check and we can respond later. Ooh, Tracy's got another comment, says this. Tanya, can you see it?
Yes. Do you want me to read it?
Yes.
I had a person tell me I had a past life living in a jungle way, way back. My brother got into trouble and I tried to save him, but I didn't. Oh. Yeah. So her brother, Tracy's brother, in her past life, got into trouble, and she tried to save him, but you couldn't, Tracy.
Did you have this past life? I think you said someone told you. Oh, you had a person tell you.
Yeah.
I think what would be so interesting is if you ever experience that for yourself, it will make so
Yes.
much more sense. Oh, you were killed because of it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And did that make sense to you, hearing that? Did it clarify a relationship with your brother or anything like that for you in this life? Or did it reveal a fear that you may have had? Or heal, more so, reveal and heal usually, because revealing what's happened is what heals the phobias. Interesting. So, yes, any other transcendent stories you might have for us, go ahead and put them in the comments. As I said, we will come back to them throughout the week and check on them and respond.
Yes.
Next week's show.
Oh,
Excuse me, we're just going to read Tracy's response. She had concerns with her brother at the time. Oh, and she always watches out for him. Okay, and
yeah.
that makes complete sense. It's really good.
Oh.
That's a nice, potentially that would explain why maybe you feel responsible for him, why you always watch out for him.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's good. Now, next week or in an upcoming show, we're going to feature Peter Ramster. Not sure if you've heard of Peter Ramster, but he did phenomenal work within the reincarnation space back in the 70s when he was much like Dr. Brian Weiss, his clients or patients were spontaneously remembering past lives. He did have them in hypnosis, but they were recalling past lives, and he was like, what is going on here? So he started to record it all. And pretty sure he still has his chair that he recorded these past lives in. But he created a documentary which came out, I'm pretty sure, in 1980. So you'll be able to, you can see it on YouTube, and it's called The Reincarnation Experiments. We'll put a link up for you right now. And if you'd like to watch it, I think that what's really interesting about that particular body of work or that film is that there was no internet then. There wasn't any. No Google, nothing like that. So what they did in that film was they took 4 of his patients. They were all women. And they took them abroad. All of them they weren't necessarily Australian, but they were from Australia, and they were recalling lives around the world. And what they did is they took them to the places they recalled, and they would go to the local historian and look on the fish and all of those things, and discovered that these past lives really were true. And they took these women to remember the tracks or the paths or the roads of the places that they had recalled being. So it's really quite interesting. And what's exciting is don't miss the Peter Ramster episode, because so much more happened behind the scenes that they couldn't fit into the film, because the film's only allowed to be, or I think it might be 90 minutes. So, but there's a whole lot of cute stories, or more, I think, mind-blowing proof that they discovered that didn't make it into the film. But join us for Peter Ramster when we get
very
him
exciting.
on. Yeah, it is exciting. He's got a lot of new bodies of work to share and talk about as well. I think he's written a ton of books, even since I last saw him a few years ago. So we'll get him talking about everything. So please do join us for that. And in the meantime, if you could please help our podcast reach more people, you can hit subscribe so that you are let know when the show's going live, and even reminders in the lead up. Also, a quick question. We would love to know how this time works for you, how this time slot works for you. If you like the live format, or if you would prefer it would just load it up as a certain time in the week that you knew, and you get to watch it through the week, because we are just assessing. Well, we're kind of testing what's more popular, what works better. And we will adjust accordingly with this podcast. So any of your feedback or your preferences is most welcome, because it will help us decide what to do.
Yep.
To make any changes or anything like that. You are welcome, Richard and Tracy. Thanks for joining us live. It's been wonderful. And we will head off now. Oh, you know what? I'm going to try and play this Tardis.
It's
I just
not
cannot
going to
believe it won't
work.
work. I swear I tested it all before, but anyway, it's sitting there. Tracy's in New Zealand, so the time frame suits. Live or pre-recorded. Okay, that's wonderful.
Yep.
Thank you for that feedback. Yeah, we'll go into the groups. We've got groups on Facebook. We can go in there and ask as well. Thanks for joining us, and for now, we shall say, regression is progression.
Bye, everyone.
Bye now.